We are coming from our mobile Pro Climber built to last studio today. So Pro Climber being one of our major sponsors. Thank you, Pro Climber team. Today we are joined by Helen from Renew, CEO of Renew. Helen, before I ask my first question, who are you?
So I am somebody who about 25 years ago looked up from my day job, I was actually a speech pathologist, would you believe? Worked with kids for 10 years. And looked up from my day job and suddenly went, I think I'm a bit worried about climate change. What can I do? Where can I volunteer? How do I go and get involved? And I inadvertently enrolled myself in a environmental law masters and then rocked into a job at Greenpeace in Canberra. Felt very lucky to get that role, and it was a political advocacy team in Canberra. And so started there as a research admin person, and I was still doing speech pathology for half the week and a bit of Greenpeace for the other half of the week for a year.
Lived in Canberra?
Sorry?
You lived in Canberra?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I didn't intend to stay in Canberra as long as I did. I was there for 25 years in total.
What's wrong with Canberra?
Nothing. It's just not where I was from. I'm a Melbourne girl, and I went to Canberra because my parents were there, and I loved living there. It was great. And then I just got this dream job, and I stayed because it was so good.
So you've been at Renew for a long time?
No, I've been at Renew for only 2 years.
Huh.
So I worked for Greenpeace for 8 years, and then I worked in the ACT Parliament for 8 years, and then I headed up the ACT's conservation peak body for about 4 years during COVID, so that felt like 8 years.
Yeah.
And then we relocated back to Melbourne a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, to be with family. So, and came back to Melbourne and then got this job a couple of years ago because Renew is an organisation that I've known about for a very long time because we're a 45-year-old organisation this year. We used to be called the Alternative Technology Association, and it was started in the 1980s by, a group of passionate people who, loved solar panels and renewable energy, but nobody really knew what that was, let alone believed that it would actually work to create electricity. And these guys used to, put solar panels on the back of trailers and drive them around and show them to people. And when I applied for the job, it was really interesting because my brother is a wind engineer, and he said to me, "Oh yeah, I used to be a member of the ATA, and I was on the board of the ATA back in the 80s." And it was this beautiful symmetry as well. But today Renew's about living sustainably, so it's about solar panels and it's about sustainable homes and design and building and electrification and batteries, and so it's become something that was kind of, a bit niche has become something that's becoming much more mainstream.
I was just going to say, you just talking about electrification, all everything that you have just talked about now is just normal.
Maybe I live in a bubble, but it's like I feel like we don't even need the electrification conversation. I know we do, but it's like
no, we do because we've got how many millions of homes need to get off.
I know, but there's so much information and data to show that it works.
Oh yeah,
that's why I mean. Do we even need to have the conversation?
It's a really good question because in the ACT we persuaded the government to get off gas.
Yeah.
When I was up there, and they made a commitment to get off gas by 2045, and they're the second highest user of gas per capita in the residential sector.
Canberra's quite progressive though.
Yep. Yes. And then Victoria followed, and they're the highest per capita user of gas, and they've got the get off gas roadmap, and they've made some real strides. So it's what you're saying is kind of true. Governments are getting it.
Yeah.
And I reckon households will get it when they can see that the cost benefit is so high, and that the technology for, induction cooktops are so fun and cool and easy to use and keep clean.
So I look at the moment, energy prices are expensive, but we keep subsidising energy prices. We're going to take some money off your bill. Can't we just put solar panels and a battery and full electrification, and you know what? Your energy bills are pretty small. The answer's there.
House runs itself.
Yeah. It's honestly I don't want to come across a wrong way here, but if you choose not to do that, I understand people that maybe can't afford it, but if you're actively putting in a gas appliance, that's your problem. Don't complain that it's too expensive.
So that's the big challenge now, right? We know what to do, but it's the people who can't afford to outlay the capital to do it. Yeah. And that's where governments need to step in and really kind of make that happen with the rebates and the programs and the targeted programs and stuff. And then because the risk is that, if everyone's left on the gas network, the people who are left on the network will pay these really high prices, and they're the people who'll be least able to afford it.
And that's the irony of it all, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's, government's got a really big role there, I reckon.
So because you part of Renew, you've got Renew and Sanctuary. They're under the same banner.
Yep, they're the two magazines.
Yeah,
that
the two
we publish.
magazines. Yeah. But ultimately, it's about sustainability. What would you define as then a sustainable home?
I think a sustainable home is one that uses both in its construction and in its running as little resource as possible. So, and the beautiful thing about a sustainable home that you are conceptualizing from the beginning is that you can make a whole bunch of decisions about before you build it, what it's going to look like and how it's going to face, how it's going to be oriented and what you're going to build it out of. We don't all get to make those choices.
Yeah.
We've got 11 million homes in Australia, 70% of them built before there was energy efficiency standards. So if you've got a house that's built pre-2010 and it's energy efficient, you're probably pretty lucky.
Yeah, I think is it? Yeah, they on average 2.2 stars.
Something like that.
Yeah. And that's on average.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them that are like sitting on zero, right? Or that, can't even get up over that.
And I'd say most people live in that, and I've gone from that recently, so I don't know, Hamish, I might live in a passive house now.
You have a passive house?
So,
nice.
I did not know
I
that.
don't know if it was on Grand Designs too.
Wait, what?
Really? Hadn't noticed.
I've gone from I don't even know how.
You've gone literally from the quintessential experience of most Victorians.
Yeah, I don't even know how to describe it.
Like just a drafty, cold. You're actually heating the room to stay warm, not the whole house.
It was actually warmer outside sometimes in winter.
Sometimes it is inside.
And now I come in and this is not to gloat, but my wife, and she hates it when I tell this, when it was 45 the other day, it was too hot to open the windows. So she goes, I'm just having a shower to warm up.
Oh, God.
She's having
the level of we should be getting
hang
to.
On, let's just say
interesting point.
She's having a shower to warm up using solar-powered hot water.
Yeah, so what I'm getting, is
energy-free hot water,
and it works. But it's and I actually now I've said this to Hamish. I really now struggle advocating for sustainable construction and talking about this type of home because it far exceeds what even I expected. And I really hate the word sustainable home. Why is it just it's home?
Well, you know what? I reckon those of us that work in sustainability don't like the word sustainability sometimes.
Yeah.
But I also think that we have to remember that we are still talking to people about stuff that people don't understand. And I reckon the community is just getting a hold of that word and we shouldn't walk away from it right now.
So that's just really interesting because I don't know if I can talk about this, but I will anyway. So I had a big two planning days last week with SBA, and I actually challenged the team in this meeting about using the word sustainable. I said, I actually feel if you kind of zoom out of our bubble and look at the people that we're trying to attract in to this organisation, I think we need to drop the word sustainable.
Maybe. I mean, it depends. There's a lot of campaigns around.
We're not, by the way, people listening to this. We are not dropping the word sustainable builders
It's
alliance.
just now called the Builders Alliance.
It's just the builders.
Someone take the URL.
It was more.
It is a good thought, though.
How do we educate?
How do we communicate?
Yeah, how do we communicate?
Yeah.
And that's a marketing piece, right?
Well, it is, and I mean, we talk about it. We run Sustainable House Day, so we've got that in our one of our biggest events has got that word in it, and. I think, but a lot of other people have started thinking about it. Well, what does it look like? Well, it's healthy homes.
It looks exactly the same.
It's comfortable homes and it's safe homes. And we're talking about homes that are both energy efficient to run, are comfortable to live in for the people who live in them, and are safe in terms of being climate safe and are resilient in the face of things like, smoke and storms and air quality and all that sort of stuff. And so when we unpack it, we know what it means. And obviously, I always say, you can have a word. Don't worry about the word so much. What matters is the stories that you're telling in the community to people at different points in time.
And that's actually exactly what I was challenging the group last week about. How do we bring everyone along for the journey? Because I reckon if you got them in and started talking to them about the facts, all the things that you just talked about, I would say 95% of people would be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
What you need
that makes sense.
What you need with Sustainable House Day is almost you need Sustainable House Night when it's damn cold outside and everyone stays the night, has a sleepover, and they wake up going, gee, I slept pretty well.
I think that's called the CEO sleep out, isn't it?
Yeah.
CEO sleep in.
Before we digress for a second, I just want to circle back to something you said earlier on. So 25 years ago, you were a speech pathologist. Now we're going through a really fantastic experience with speech pathology at the moment with my middle child. Now I look at what this particular person's doing for my children at the moment, and it's such a fantastic thing, helping people. Why the shift? You're already in an industry where you are actively improving people's lives, and you know, I don't have a severely autistic child, but I have a child that is, you know, going through some stuff that we need to help them with. Like, you could be life changing for some people in that role.
She's doing that now, though.
Why? Yeah.
And,
but
you know,
I guess I'm just trying to understand moving from
it's
this.
a good question. I mean, and there were some lives that I do know that I did touch on, but I also know that other equally as good, well qualified speech pathologists could have also changed those people's lives, because you know you have a 4-year degree and you know what you're doing, so you do what you're supposed to be doing professionally. But for me, at a personal level, I didn't actually start out to plan a career change. I started out by going back to uni to get some skills so that I could volunteer. I wanted to go and volunteer for an environment.
I went to university to volunteer.
What was that?
You went to university so you could go and volunteer.
Yeah, I suppose I did.
So rack up a HECS debt.
Well, no, I just paid up front.
Yeah.
It was a very short qualification.
Okay.
I did it part-time over a couple of years. And I mean, I was the only speech pathologist that was doing environmental law that year. There was a lot of lawyers and there was a lot of environmental people.
Yeah.
And I remember going around the table introducing ourselves, and I was like, and I'm a speech pathologist. That's a bit weird. But anyway, but I think it was because I had a bit of a naive idea that we just needed to get in the ear of politicians and tell them how it was, and they would fix it. And guess what? That doesn't work.
I don't know if it's that easy.
You know, it's a whole journey. So you know, I was pretty young at the time, but I wanted to be part of an organisation. I was, you know, at that time when I talked to my friends about what I wanted to do, most people didn't know much about climate change. Mm-hmm. They didn't know much about sustainability. I think my friends always thought I was a bit of a greenie. You know, I always talked about the ozone layer back in the 90s and telling my cousin not to use hairspray out of a spray bottle, stuff like that.
You might not remember that. You're a bit young.
But you know,
I was born in the 80s. It was 89.
Yeah, the hairspray.
I have no hair left anyway. I have no hair left anyway, so there's no hair to spray up anymore. Big
hair was a big thing back then, right? So there was a lot of hairspray going on. So
lots of hairspray.
So I think it was just an opportunity to think about how to make a difference in a different way. And I guess that's, you know, as you go through your career, you're always sort of evaluating, particularly in this space with climate change, and you're always evaluating how to best influence things around you in the best way you can. And also, you know, you've got to have a job and you know, keep some income coming in as well, you know.
Yeah.
But I think constantly taking stock of how we make change. And it's very interesting for me to land at Renew, because Renew is an organisation that's very focused on community capacity building and enabling people in the community to make changes at a household level. And in some ways that was quite confronting for me at first. I'm like, you know, we're not going to actually solve the climate crisis one house at a time. But if there's anything I learned from my time, you know, lobbying politicians and being in that political space, it's that politicians generally don't lead. They generally follow the community. They want the community to show them that they want the changes to happen, the systemic changes, and they want to see that things can happen and that the community can make stuff happen.
That's who votes for them. That's why.
Right, because that's who votes for them. And so the political change that we want to see is not political change, it's social change, and social change happens because there's a momentum for it, and momentum happens because the community learns about stuff or demonstrates that things can happen, and then politicians go, oh, look what you can do there, that's really clever. Or a business, you know, invents something new, and they put it in front of government, and governments go, oh, that's good that you're doing that. We'd like to get on board with that. So, you know, and I think I was probably just very naive about how social change happened when I started.
Have you got an example of the time that you were working in Canberra of like one of those moments where, you know, you were involved in maybe a community group which then got into the ear of a politician and then you actually saw some like tangible change off the back of that?
Yeah, I mean, the first one I saw was back in 2011, and the ACT government was about to set its climate change target for 2020. And in some ways, a lot of people in the community didn't even know this was happening. But the local climate orgs and some students at the uni got really mobilised, and they started campaigning for a 40% target by 2020. You've got to remember, back in 2011, that was a big target.
Yep.
But that's what the science was telling us that they needed. And we all know that the ACT is tiny and that their energy consumption is not industrialised, so it's very niche. But
Lots of solar panels.
Yeah, and
Lots of
it's
solar
bluebirds,
panels.
always blue
it's always
skies and day.
blue skies, yeah, and people who, average income in the ACT is a little bit higher than it is in other parts
Lots
of the country.
employed people.
So people can afford some of the upfront costs.
Yeah.
But also the government, the government kind of really got a bit bogged down in sort of climate policies that weren't really going anywhere. And anyway, this little group, it was called Canberra Loves 40%. And they put it on T-shirts and they started campaigning, and they were out there in front of politicians. And because the politicians are very close to the people in the ACT, because everyone knows everybody, it gave the government of the day the space to do that, and they did that. And once they did that, they started, that kick-started a whole bunch of stuff like the large-scale feed-in tariffs, where the ACT started purchasing renewable energy out of the grid. And so the ACT was 100% renewable by 2020.
So when you're talking about getting in front of government, you're not talking federal? Because
No, that was the ACT government.
Because
Yeah.
potentially, just want to clarify that, because even though you are in Canberra, they do still have it.
That's right. So I was in Little Canberra. Yeah.
They still do have like Canberra or ACT government.
I speak from somebody who's lived there for 25 years, and federal politicians to people who live in Canberra, federal politicians are people who just turn up every few weeks.
Yep.
And when people say, I don't like Canberra because of all the politicians, I'm like, yeah, but you sent them here. They're not ours.
Whereabouts in Canberra were you?
I lived in a few places, mostly on the north side. I've spent a year down on the south side. It's a very small place, so it's pretty easy to get around. And if you have to drive more than...
It's 20 minutes away. And
exactly about to say, if it's more than 20 minutes away, you don't go.
So my wife's from Canberra, and she's family house in Chapman. So we go up there a couple of times a year. So I know Canberra, very, very familiar with Canberra, and seen a really positive change over the last 20 odd years that me and Lisa have been together. So I really like Canberra.
It's actually a beautiful place to live, and it's a really great place if you've got kids, young kids. I used to throw my lad on the back of the bike and commute into work every day, drop him off at the daycare centre, and then keep riding.
2 hours to the ski fields, 2 hours to the coast.
2 hours to the coast, it's a beautiful spot.
Beautiful spot.
They don't like us talking about it too much, just in case people turn up.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? The south coast of New South Wales is terrible. Don't go there.
No, that's a horrible place, I've heard.
Yeah, it's really terrible. I don't want the beaches that we go to every year to be crowded.
Sustainable House Day. So you put in the thing March 17th, and I'm like,
it's not March 17th.
It's actually May 17th.
It's May the 17th.
May 17th.
That's
now,
right, yeah.
Because it's not just about Sustainable House Day. You do like a bit of a whole month with webinars and all this other stuff.
Yeah, we do.
So want to kind of really expand on that, because personally, that's a resource I used when I first started going down this road.
And everyone knows about Sustainable House Day.
Yeah.
Everyone knows
That's
about
good.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm just in a bubble.
Check us out on Instagram at the moment. It's looking pretty nice.
Great. All right.
Yeah. So we're going to...
Instagram is just Sustainable House Day.
We'll get on
easy to find.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. So essentially it's a day where you can go around and check out houses that are sustainable. And understand what they might look and feel like. The hard part, as we sort of joked before, that it's sort of hard to experience unless you live in them 100%. But what it does is it gives confidence that sustainable architecture and houses aren't concrete boxes or boring. Like, they can look sexy.
Well, they're not hippie boxes, right? They're beautiful homes that just make sense.
Well, as I think it was Anna said, like when she first started working in the magazine, that she should take any house she could get. It didn't look good, but now like the competition's hard to get into those magazines.
How hard it is to get into Sanctuary magazine now?
I didn't actually, but I do know that Anna's got some.
Yeah, I've been in it too.
Some pretty good criteria she's got going on at the moment.
Yeah.
It's it's an interesting thing, because Sanctuary magazine, and the idea that a sustainable house is a beautiful house, is something that I feel is sort of out there a little bit. Obviously, sustainable houses can be really beautiful homes. I think the idea that we're trying to get out there as well now is that normal homes can be massively sustainable. And that's that's actually a bit harder because people are like, oh, Sustainable House Day and Sanctuary, it's all very beautiful.
Unachievable,
Unachievable, out of reach for rich people.
Yep.
Building is for rich people. Like, I think we've got to all acknowledge that, right?
I think building, yes.
Yeah, building.
But sustainability, there's
doesn't
always
add
a
any
point
cost.
where,
It doesn't add any extra cost.
right, there's places where people can tap into
Yeah.
sustainability no matter where they're up to in that journey. And it might be, with your caulking gun going around sealing up your gaps.
Yeah.
Or it might be putting your ceiling insulation in. Or it might be, if you're lucky, retrofitting your double glazing.
Yeah, because let's be clear here. Sustainable House Day is not just for new homes.
Yes.
It's
No.
actually,
Yeah, good
and
point,
I
Hayden.
think there's going to be a big focus on. I remember Ben Russell's house last year. His Alistair Knox home in Warrandyte sold out like that last year. I remember because I remember talking to his wife about having.
She's exhausted.
She's still exhausted by it.
Because you do resources like converting to all like electrification. There's also just like sealing up.
I guess the point I was making is not just new homes; it's old
No,
existing
that's
homes
right.
of people that might have done some modifications, which would then lead to a healthier, comfortable home.
Yeah.
That's right. So we're really keen to showcase we had lots of new retrofits that were listed last year, and lots of homes that are on that electrification journey. So people who've either just electrified their homes or people who've gone back and done that thermal efficiency work on their homes. And I think, it is a bit of a sequence. And I did it on my house in Canberra. It's, it was a 3-bedroom, 1959 cottage. And it was, I remember when we bought it and moved in, the day the ceiling insulation went in, because I could literally feel the difference. We were in a heat wave.
Oh, so you didn't have Mr. Fluffy in there?
I thought I did for a minute, but no.
So the asbestos
Got it
insulation.
tested.
Blowing asbestos.
Got it tested.
It's like the Wizard of Oz again.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
That was such a tragic situation. Yeah, it was really, really traumatic for people.
Horrible, yeah. For those who don't know, there was a period in the 60s, 50s,
Yeah,
60s,
I think it was 60s, 70s.
blowing insulation, and it was blowing asbestos.
Well, it was
Yeah.
just blown in asbestos. That's it.
Blown in asbestos. Like, it was fibrous, like insulation in the roof.
Loose fill.
And it would like get into all the ductwork, and then even when they had it cleared out.
Jeez.
Like,
Fall
there was
down
a-
between the cavities and the walls.
There was a massive government buyback of all the Mr. Fluffy homes.
They all got
It was like, from a durability and water perspective, it was like the best product ever, except it killed people.
Oh, they weren't burning down a bushfire.
No, yeah. It was like the best but worst building. So I've got a really hard question for you, and you've got to pick one here. So you got two magazines, Sanctuary and Renew. What's your favourite?
Oh, no, that's like choosing a favourite child.
Yeah, but let's face it, I've got 3 kids. I've got a favourite.
I love them both.
I'm joking.
Which one, if you got one in front of you, which one are you picking up first? Because they're very different.
Oh, I'll pick up whichever one's just come in the door.
That's
I
not-
cannot do that. My staff would just... No,
I'm gonna
I can't.
answer-
Well, it gives the
I-
competition
when I'm
to the
tired,
opposite.
When I'm tired, I would pick up Sanctuary
Yeah.
because it's got more pictures.
Yeah.
When I'm alert and want to learn something really useful about,
Good.
renewable technology, I would pick
Sanctuary's
up
like-
Renew. Or hear a great human story, I'd pick up Renew.
Sanctuary's like the gateway drug.
Here's a fun fact, and my wife reminded me this last night when I said you were coming on. She goes, "Remember when we won that solar-powered hot water system in Sanctuary?" And I'm like, "Yes." And at the time, I didn't own a home, so I ended up selling it.
I was about to say, did you get it? That's good that you got
sold
it.
it to a friend of mine,
Yeah,
who was
good.
really in the sort of sustainable space. But we were just on the verge
On
of
the cusp
of
of
buying,
buying,
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, great, I've won it.
It's like, where do I put this?
Where do I put this thing? It's great. But I'm a huge fan of Sanctuary magazine. Like, it's probably one of my favourites.
That's because we're builders, I think.
I think it's because we're builders.
And
I mean, everybody loves a magazine that's got a house plan in it, doesn't it? Whether it's been renovated, like you can go, oh, there's the before, there's the after. Oh, that's so clever. Everyone loves. I love looking at that. I'm a bit of a map girl, so that's like the map of a house is always fun.
So, yeah, one of the things I wanted to go back to, which is sort of links in now, and what really drives me insane about our industry is this like sustainability category. When we have all these awards, is we have a sustainability section, not sustainable house. Why the fuck isn't every house just that is the bare minimum of every?
Right. Why isn't it? Yeah.
It
So, we've got these housing standards that have just come in, 7-star houses. But we all know that it's going to be pretty tough it's going to be tough to be confident that all new houses are meeting that standard all the time.
Yeah. Especially
But look, it's a
retrofits.
step up from what it was, and it's a step up from nothing.
I mean, if only there was a way to ensure that it was built to 7 stars.
Compliance.
But like,
yeah.
so I was on a judge.
Verification.
So I was on a judging panel for one of the associations last year for some awards, and the year before that. And I think I've been given the flick because I
wonder why.
so they have to sustainability section in there, and they're like, "Oh, we built to 6 stars." I was like, "Oh, so you didn't build to code?"
Wow.
So I'm giving him 0 in that category. And they're like, no, but they put in a rainwater tank. I was like, yeah, because the council made them. Like I don't think I'm invited back. But like that's what frustrates me about these awards a lot of the time is the real stuff is getting missed, and we have to have a sustainability category and we have to have a sustainability magazine to showcase the houses where like why isn't every magazine on the basis of what you guys do is where I'm kind of getting at.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I kind of hope that we're about to see a shift. I know that we've seen even some stuff on grand designs. We started to see, okay, let's not do so grand, right? Because
it
the
is
most
grand
of
design,
sustainable house, maybe it could be rebadged. I don't know. There's something there.
Sustainable designs.
Sustainable designs, that's right. But, I have a colleague who works in the space in Canberra, and she used to list her homes in the sustainability category. Yeah. And I remember her telling me a couple of years in a row, we were the only people that listed homes to be nominated. No wonder I won, because people weren't putting them forward.
Yeah.
And all these homes were winning awards, and there was just no tip of the hat. And people are spending a lot of money building very beautiful homes. If they'd just spent a tiny bit more time thinking about it, then there's absolutely no reason why those kinds of people shouldn't be building sustainable homes.
Well, I tell you what, sustainability starts before you start drawing lines on paper.
Exactly.
Like forget about solar panels, forget about rainwater tanks, forget about your appliances, forget about all of that. It's not a bolt-on. Like I say that performance is not a bolt-on. I think sustainability is not a bolt-on either, because you can have an amazingly designed home and it's just facing the absolute wrong way.
Direction.
Yeah. Wrong direction.
And for so long, my journey was, I'm a green builder, didn't do anything to make myself a green builder, just thought it sounded good. That was how it originally started. And then you're like, I've got to actually understand more. So you do passive house and you see that and it's like, you drink the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
And then for a period of time, you're like, that's the only way to do things. I think in the last year and a half, I've really learned that sustainability is just more than that. Like it's like a puzzle. And whilst you're probably never going to complete a full puzzle and fit every piece in there, there's multiple aspects that make up.
I'm sitting here smiling right now because obviously I'm pretty privy to what we're doing at Sustainable Builders Alliance, and I can't talk about it yet, but I'm genuinely excited with some of the things that we're about to bring out that gives people really great guidelines around and again, yes, we're kind of driving the narrative here, but what we believe, and I think we're coming from a good pool of builders who actually believe in this stuff, of what actually a good sustainable home is. And it does include a big part of it, performance construction. But then there's all these other things that you need to layer on as well.
You can't tick every box. I tried in my house and you just generally can't.
But I think you can tick a lot of the boxes though.
If you can tick 7 out of 10.
Don't you think it's about like every decision that's put in front of you, taking the best decision that you can for every whether it's a new home, whether it's a block, whether it's a retrofit, whatever it is, it's about making a choice where you're conscious about what you're doing, which is lovely because this is the Mindful Builder podcast, right? So it is actually about that. It's about having a lens that says, okay, here's a decision. What am I going to do? Here's another decision. What am I going to do? I'm thinking about it. I'm going to get the best outcome I can.
Yep.
And, it was really interesting because I got a question the other day on a radio interview, which I'll ask you.
Yeah, okay, go.
Kyle and Jackie O? Was it Kyle and Jackie O?
Yeah.
And the question was, what about how do you build a sustainable house on a really narrow house block when it's in a suburban development and it's facing the wrong way and the block's really long and thin? What do you do?
Watch my Grand Designs episode.
In my opinion, it's all about exactly what you just said. Yeah. It's about considering all of in that scenario, it's not going to be perfect. And the thing is, if we actually said, oh, well, I'm just going to give up and just build whatever the fuck I want on that site, then you're going to fail. But if all the decisions that you're making is giving you the best possible outcome, then that's a really great result.
And it's probably going to be pretty good.
Start with Orient. It's going to be better than what you had. You're going to be the top 1% of houses in Australia.
And also, not only that, you're going to end up with a really cool, unique home because you are using this as part of the design considerations.
So one of the things that we did with our house, and it talks about before it hits the pen and paper, is we're 190 square metres, 25 metres long by 6.5 metres wide. Tiny.
Say that again?
25 metres long.
Yep.
6.5 wide.
Wow.
So one night in Yarraville.
Where we are right now is bigger than Matt's block.
So it's tiny.
Yeah, okay.
So and the backyard or the front is north. So you can't You're building on
You
two.
don't want to open up your street frontage to the north.
So
yeah.
we
You do a really good job of actually bringing in the front yard.
So our backyard is our front
Yeah,
yard as well. We
yeah.
just push it all to one space, which council's minds were blown by that. They're like, oh, where's your backyard? It's like at the front. No, where's your backyard? At the front.
At the front.
like we're allowed to choose where to do that.
It's a front backyard.
I actually this is so stupid. We got told off we had to go to VCAT. One of the reasons was because I had too much north face glazing. Go figure.
I'm going to use your house as the example to that question. I mean, I basically answered it right. I'm like, well, I'm not a builder, but it was kind of, you got to think about it first. But I'm going to get your house out, have a look at it and check it out and go check out this because,
And I wish I could do sustainable house. I've just got NDA still around it and because of Grand Designs,
was your house on Grand Design?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But and my wife, I think she's sick of people coming through. But
I've got a really cool project I really wanted to do it this year, but May 17th is not going to work. But we've got a really cool project next year, which my client's really excited to get on, and it is another Alistair Knox home.
There you go.
And Sam Cox is doing the landscape, so it's going to be primo.
It's there. The answers. The thing is, as I say, the answers are there. Like I have a 5 meter wide front backyard, and I still got a 5,000 litre underwater rainwater tank.
Yeah.
Like you can do it,
Yeah.
and you can, and I've got a water filter out the front. I've got solar. Like the answers are there. You don't have to go hard to find them, and just stick to simple stuff. Like I think the thing is, we all overcomplicate this, and
I think that is so true. Like it's actually not that hard. And one of the biggest challenges, this is why Sustainable House Day is so good, because it actually unpacks it for people.
Well, puts it in context.
Yeah. And one of the things that we heard back last year was that 70% of people who went to Sustainable House Day walked away and said, we're going to make a change in the next 6 to 12 months to our house based on what we've learned today.
Yeah.
And because it makes it all really tangible, they can touch it, feel it, hear it, experience it.
Yeah.
Like I remember when
So I just need to turn my marketing on to renovations come end of May.
Target market, find all the locations on the day where they are, and just target the little metadata.
Great. I remember I went out to see a passive house out at Warrandyte a couple of years ago.
Jesse's
house.
Yeah.
That's right. And I remember standing in there going, wow, I've never been inside a passive house before. Like I've never had this experience. It feels and it sounds really different. And then other people might just be going, how loud is this heat pump for the neighbours?
Yeah.
And they can hear your heat pump and they're like, oh, it's not that bad actually. That's okay.
Well, do you know the really interesting thing about Jesse's place too is it's right on the main road.
Right on a busy corner.
On a roundabout. And I live in Warrandyte as well, so I know I drive past every single day. And I remember the first time I went into Jess's house, closing the door and thinking, wow.
Yeah.
I was not expecting this because
No.
it faces out to the oval as well and the creek running out the back. So you block out all of this.
Yeah,
and that's probably a really great example of designing for the location.
I hated our first night.
It's quiet.
I was like, I have made the biggest mistake in my life. I've gone all in on this sustainable passive house thing, and I was like, this sucks.
It's too quiet.
It was too comfortable. It was too quiet.
It's like I can hear the voices in my head.
I'm literally just like,
right now.
What have I? Oh my god! Like my whole business structure is just like, and then I woke up in the morning and it was 5 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, oh, it's
so easy to get out of bed.
Yeah.
So like,
I want to ask you a question. So you got two magazines or two publications to go out. Have you seen a shift in like your readership or your audience over the last few years, or have you got any kind of data on that, or who your audience actually is?
I don't have any. Well, we know that our audience is that. I mean, I don't think our audience is one type of person, but we know that people who have long-standing commitment to Renew and the magazines and the publications are often people who are really interested in the issues. They're often early adopters of technology. We have a lot of people in industry and builders and people who are into electrification and electricians and things like that. And then we have people who are just, they just love this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think what we do know, aside from the magazines, we know that people are really hungry for this kind of information.
Yeah.
And they're looking for how to do it. We held a battery webinar last year because the battery rebate was launched, and we had 400 people sign up for that webinar in a couple of weeks. And it's an insane amount of interest. And And so people are really looking for very tangible advice, very, clear information, but they also want to know that they can trust where it's coming from.
Yep.
And that people who are giving them the information don't have a vested interest in giving them particular pieces of information. So we often try to, tell people about the things to think about when you're buying a product. We don't kind of recommend products, so we're not like Choice. We don't test products and things like that. But we'll say, hey, when you're looking for a heat pump, look out for this issue, look out for your warranty, look out for noise, look out for, coefficients of efficiency, etc. But we don't say go buy a blah blah. So people really want that information. But I think the other thing that we do know that people want in our audience is they want to know about their house and their context and their situation. And so they want to say, hey, I've got a 2.5 kilowatt solar system on my roof. It's 10 years old. Should I be adding more solar to it? But if I get a battery, do I connect them up? Do I need a new inverter? And it's always very personal.
Yeah,
and so one of the things I really want to do over the next year is really build the number of opportunities that we're offering people to ask questions about their stuff.
We're happy to do that with you guys. We're happy to jump on a webinar or something when they can just ask the builder whatever you want.
I mean, there's that. I was also thinking
we did that last year, didn't we?
I jumped on.
Definitely give that one a rerun.
But even just some FAQs, like some some collaborative FAQs.
Yeah, because people just want that information and they want to know that they can rely on it. And it's very interesting to me. Like, I always think you should be able to trust the information you get from governments, but apparently people don't. So I don't know why.
I actually think, like, if you think about Renew and you think about Sanctuary, like, that's a pretty reputable source of where that information is coming from, in my
I agree.
In my opinion.
It's because the people that feed into Renew and Sanctuary magazine are often working in the space. Like, they're nearly always, unless they're community stories or householder stories, which obviously we try to weave community and household into the magazines because we're a community-based organisation. But the contributors are often people like yourselves. They're people working in building, construction, design, electrification, energy, solar. So they're experts and they're giving back. It's actually, our membership is wonderful because they're actually people who are giving back to the community. And they're not asking for very much in return. And
you should increase your membership.
I want to try and leverage those people to do that, to keep doing that. That's why people sign up to be members, because they want to give back.
I actually look at like your membership and it's compared to some of the other ones I have to pay. I'm like, guys, you guys give way more. Increase yours and you should definitely be declining. Not going to say who. But it's... I shouldn't open my mouth too much.
Cut that bit.
Cut that bit out.
No, don't cut that bit out. You get put pressure on everyone else. Like, as I always say, like, will tell you if I don't like something, and that then gives them the pressure to improve and meet the standards of what you guys are doing.
So I kept telling Beck that we just need to be apprehensive about getting Matt on as an ambassador for SBA. I'm like, we just need to make sure that we put a muzzle on him sometimes.
Yeah, no filter. Not at all.
That's right, Matt. You can promote membership of Renew as much as you like.
How do we become a member of Renew?
It's a great resource, but like, how do we get, because the way that we run our business now, people who come to us know what we do, and we want a passive house, we want a healthy, high-performing house. But let's go to John's building down the corner that might not have that opportunity and their clients aren't educated. And then what gets lost along the way is because they don't know, then they don't educate the client. How do we get new people that just don't get this? How do we get them picking up the magazine? How do we get them? Like, I love you guys have like a little Netflix series or something like that.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think these days it has to always be through social media. So we, and I say that with, half of my brain saying our social media hasn't been great for a little while, but it's on the up and it's looking beautiful now. And but I think that's where, that's where we find new audiences and people who work in that space. I'm on certain platforms, but my younger staff come in and go, we need to be on this platform and this platform and this platform.
Yeah, you can't do it all.
And those are where people, the people that we want to start talking to are sort of 25 to 45. They might have just bought their first home. They might even still be renting because we've got 30% of Australians are renting. That's where, people are hungry for information. They actually know about climate change. They kind of get it. They're not having the fight about whether climate change is real or not. I mean, some people are, but most people aren't. We know that most Australians are actually pretty okay with it. And they want to live more sustainably, but they also want their energy bills to go down and they want to live in a comfortable house. And they don't want to be kicking around in a excuse my language, but in a shitbox for like, you know,
Oh, you
10
can swear.
years.
We swear all the
swear.
time.
I noticed you did that.
I say fuck all the time.
But they don't want to be living like that. And
No.
they don't want their kids to be living like that. And they don't want their kids to be in houses that have got mould or damp, you know, where they're getting chest infections and they can't get well or they're frying up in summer. And we know that people who are sick or elderly or have disabilities are really at risk of heat. And when we're getting these heat waves coming across the country where, you know, if you looked at the map this summer and you see what the heat looks like in some places across Australia, it's actually really frightening.
50 degrees. Like that's what you start slow
and
cooking
inside
something
the
out.
house, it's really unhealthy and people are really vulnerable if they don't hydrate or stay cool. And so, you know, I think there's a real growth audience there for that stuff.
Do you feel it's ironic that those older people were probably the ones that didn't push for this, that they're now having to deal with it?
I think
Like,
that
you know what, I'm
people
being
are just
smart-ass.
sharing information. I just think social change seems to take forever until suddenly it happens.
It's kind of like,
You know?
And you know what? You're probably a really good person to talk about that because you're talking 25 plus years in this space. And I guess now we're sitting here talking on a podcast about it with a couple of centrally thinking builders actually campaigning for this stuff. Like you wouldn't have had this conversation 20 years ago.
No. Not the way we are now about homes and sustainability. I mean, you know, you're right, the ACT is quite progressive. And interestingly, the ACT had, you know, the mandatory disclosure. So when you buy a house, you could know what the EER rating was.
Did you know that? They have the mandatory disclosure of
literally this is my next topic and you stole my notes.
Oh, sorry.
before we do that, I just want to you brought up renters before, so sorry, Matt, I'll let you have that one. A lot of the time they've got their hands tied. I know we had Tim Forsey on, you know, a few weeks ago talking about like really the little small low-hanging fruit. Have you got anything else to add about what renters can do? Because it's not their home.
Yeah, that's right.
But they can still do things to their home to make it healthy and more comfortable and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, renters, there's two things for renters. Firstly, there's a limited amount of things you can do, and the things that you can do are the things that you can generally remove or don't impact on the building envelope permanently. So curtains, you know, we've got a photo of a guy hanging a tarp off a gutter on a westerly wall because if you can keep the heat off your westerly walls in summer, you're actually keeping your house much more cool.
So much cooler.
So things that are temporary that, you know, that you can do, that you can walk away with. Now, the trick is I can make a whole bunch of suggestions and there'll be a bunch of renters listening maybe going, oh, I can't afford to do that. And I'm like, okay, I get that some people can't, but there are options. There are some things, it's interesting because in some of the states, like in Victoria, there are some things that your landlord can't tell you not to do, unreasonably tell you not to do. And I didn't realise this, but I think using a caulking gun to seal up gaps is one of those things. So you can't unreasonably say no to that.
If I was a landlord and I had a tenant saying, hey, do you mind if I go and caulk all the gaps? I'd be like, here you go.
I'm coming to help.
I'll pay for the caulking.
Here's the caulk.
Right, that's the way it should be, yeah. But you know, people don't know what they can and can't do. So things, temporary stuff, thinking about having like fans in your home that can cool you down, thinking about keeping rooms cool or hot in winter or summer rather than heating the whole house. Here's a good one. If the only gas that you're using is for your cooktop, then get it disconnected and go and buy yourself a little bench top induction.
Or stop using it and put a
little induction thing over the top.
Just don't sign up to a gas bill.
Just don't sign up to a gas bill.
Yeah, you don't get it disconnected off the because
the trick is when people are on hot water for gas, and that's really challenging. But then, you know, if you can and you think your landlords are receptive, then talk to them about the fact there are rebates on hot water systems. I mean, you can get a pretty neat little hot water system rebated in Victoria, particularly for, you know, $1,000, $2,000 at the most.
Reach out to their good friends over at Goodbye Gas.
So one thing that on this is, I think, is it one of the, I read somewhere that they want to force all owners of it for a rental to insulate all the walls and ceiling.
Ceiling insulation will be coming in Victoria for rental standards in 2027 for new rentals and 2030 for all rentals. There'll be a reasonable level of draught-proofing.
Yeah,
those were the two key things. And then also cooling system. So an energy-efficient cooling system, which will effectively mean that everybody ends up with an energy-efficient split system for heating as well. And they are coming, but Victoria is well and truly leading the pack.
So my fear on this,
I know where you're going.
Yeah, like we now start to talk about indoor air quality because we talk about comfort as one thing. We've only touched energy efficiency to some point here. What about the mold and condensation problem? When we start having mold, who's liable? The government? Because
we've got mould already.
Yeah, we do.
And nobody's liable.
Yeah.
And
it's actually out of
a real
insurance
problem.
policies now.
Yeah. You know, when we look at rental standards, because we're doing some work on rental standards at the moment and looking to model what are the changes that we should be making to homes and what do they cost for the landlord to put in and what do they save for the tenant. And we're looking at it right across Australia, across different climate zones in each jurisdiction. And we're actually using Passive House software to model it because it's really good at doing the draft ceiling sort of side of things. And ventilation comes up in that conversation very, very quickly. But, you know, at a practical level, across Australia, there is no requirement to put in fly screens. So, you know, even what I call actively ventilating your house as somebody who's living in it, people can't open their windows at home in certain places because they don't have fly screens. They're going to get bitten to death. This is insane.
Aren't we one of the only countries that actually install fly screens too? Someone told me. I think that we're not.
I did hear that.
So, like, with other countries don't have fly screens.
They don't even know what fly screens are.
Yeah. So one of the easy things for me is like every wet area should be on a 30-minute timer.
I was going to say, like,
for a fan.
And one of those is a full-time running slot. It's going to consume no energy. Yeah, there's an energy penalty potentially or some, but that just takes the guesswork out of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, and I think that just should be NCC code regardless. But I think that's such an easy thing. And it can be like the government can be like, you know what, to de-risk, we're going to give you a $500 credit or something to help you do that.
So one of the things I was talking to earlier guest on we had today about like governments just looking in like a little individual silos and not actually connecting the dots through things. They go, we're going to fix this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. Like, no, fucking zoom out and look at it all. Insulation's great in the roof. Insulation's great in the walls. Draft-proofing's really good too. But then if you forget about ventilation, then don't do it because you're actually creating an environment, is where you were getting before. Like add on to that, we need to have 30-minute running fans in the home. All our extraction points need to be ducted out.
And the reason I say that is like, this sounds potentially really bad, is like I can't trust someone living in a house they're going to turn it on. Like what happens hypothetically if
that's a really good point. Yeah.
Because like what if you've got the renter that just like, I don't like turning it on and the kids don't turn off the shower and then there's mold everywhere. That's a user problem like what we would have in a handover package.
Yeah.
The issue is actually this sucks. People suck. We think that we don't need to do so. I'll be fine. What happened in my house? But how do we take the human element out of it and make it a smart home?
I think if you've got a property portfolio, I would argue that we are gonna. And when people think about renters, they're probably just have like an avatar in their mind about what a renter is. There's actually some really educated, high-paid renters out there who are living in homes who are demanding or will be demanding good homes to live in.
Absolutely. And people are spending longer in their rental properties now because of, you know, the unaffordability of a first home for a young
someone
family.
Might want to move into an area where there's a good school, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you've got a portfolio, make it appealing.
I think what's really interesting about the rental stuff is there's a bit of a sliding doors moment here maybe, because in terms of laws that are put in place to protect renters for energy efficiency, it's really been the very low-hanging fruit that the two governments that have done anything about it have gone for. And one's the ACT, and they've mandated ceiling insulation. And the second one is Victoria, who's done the things that we just talked about. And credit where credit's due, they actually stepped out of the silo a little bit because they actually thought about how it intersected with the getting off gas stuff, and they made those decisions at the same time about what they wanted to do. But you know, and the thing is, when we go to talk to other states about rent, the conversation about rental standards in other states is almost non-existent. New South Wales are just starting to have it. Tasmania, West Australia, Queensland, not really on the boil.
Tassie's an interesting one because it's pretty cold down there.
Pretty bloody cold. And so, you know, so what happens is that because governments, as I said earlier, you know, governments don't like leading, they like to follow. But we could either do this thing where we go, okay, at a bare minimum, you just need to mandate this.
Yeah.
Like we just want to keep people basically safe. So what is the bare minimum we need to ensure that people can live safely in their homes and that you're not leasing out a home that is actually unsafe?
Yeah.
And then there's that idea that we could leapfrog that and go, actually, that's okay, but it's kind of crap and we know it's crap because we're really talking about like ceiling insulation, whoopee-doo, like we're a third of the way there or something, I don't know. Or do we want to actually have a conceptual shift about what it means to actually properly retrofit Australia's housing stock so that it's sealed, wrapped, ventilated.
It's an adult conversation.
It's an adult conversation. But, the problem is politicians get such pressure when they start making decisions about potential costs for landlords.
And I understand that. I think at its purest element, like people buy it's an investment. They're trying to grow their wealth. They want the best return from money. Like that's I actually understand that side of things.
Look at it as
I challenge that.
Look at it as
I hear it, but I challenge it.
That's what they're doing. They're trying to build their wealth. But if I was going to rent a property, I'd be more inclined to be like, hey, I know Hayne might be there for 10 years. Hey, have we signed a longer lease and I'll put some money back into it to help you. I'm secure for 10 years. Let's just negotiate, not even a CPI increase, just a basic 1%. I'm set. I know for 10 years I've got long-term rent, my assets being covered.
And not only that, your assets been looked after.
Yeah.
They're going to have a vegetable patch. They're going to do this.
Like
they're actually becoming.
I'm going to reduce your rent if you do some upkeep and maintain the garden. There's maybe an incentive behind it. I don't know. I think we've got.
And then even sort of more deeply at the energy level, we think it might turn out that the cost of the upgrades that you might want to do to make a home safe are kind of the same costs that the tenant's paying in energy bills. And so if you could say to a tenant over 10 years, hey, how about you pay your energy bills to me, but I'll make your house really lovely to live in.
Yeah.
Rather than how about you keep paying shitty energy bills and living in a shitty cold house.
And it's only going to increase, and that's why I get back the reason a person buys is investment. It only increases their investment worth.
Yeah.
So that's what
And it does.
Yeah, and I think and that's started across the world, and it kind of loops back into that what we're talking about. We're having like the star rating on a real estate board kind of thing or a rental. Now, real estate agents are going to say, yeah, but we know they're already crap. We know that. That's cool. Let's just put it on there. How about it's more, I think for those things when we're actually looking at number, it's a new townhouse. It's the new house that was renovated 3 years ago. That's what matters. It's not the old rundown house. I totally understand that. It's like this stupid thing they want to bring in personally, in my opinion, is when they want to do the report on the house when you buy it, because that's just going to create a problem. Like I think you should be forced to get one, but maybe from someone not the agent picks. Like it should be more of an independent inspection. Inspections.
The energy efficiency ratings being done by the seller instead of
it should be done almost like it's got to be done. No, it shouldn't be done from the seller. It's almost going to be like an independent source that's not actually.
Well, aren't they making it? I don't know if I'm talking about two different things here. So they're asking for building reports that are usually voluntarily. You don't have to get them. Like if you're selling a home.
Yeah.
But maybe it's twofold. Maybe if you're renting a home or you're selling a home, you actually have to get a report to show the condition of the home.
Because there's so many disclaimers in there that they're just going to be able to hide behind.
Well, the funny thing is that the idea of the seller providing the building report, the building inspection report and the EER, that's already been in place in the ACT and other jurisdictions for quite a while, and it works really well. When I moved to Victoria and I wanted to buy a house, every house you're interested in, if you actually get close to the purchasing process, you have to go and pay for another building inspection. It's insane.
And that's stupid. That's why I say it should
crazy.
Be. It should be. Maybe it's got to be from a licensed person that they are. That's just not Hamish's building inspection that's going to pop up. You've got to really regulate that. And it's like we will just remove it from you that you can't do it. But I think that we need it. Like we have 2 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, whatever on the board. It needs to have the rating. It should have to be there.
Yep.
I don't care if the house is crappy and old and it's going to be knocked over. That's cool. We know it's crap and it can go on there, but it's more the houses that have been renovated in 10 years that are claiming some things.
And they've been sold with
a
energy efficiency rating.
I think you're right. It's also going to differentiate in the market. Like if you are, and probably motivating people to make their homes better. Like if it's actually going up on the board of what it is, like use it as a marketing.
So I go check out houses for friends to help on building inspections. I love doing. Well, my family are real estate agents, so I can say
there you
they
go.
all. So they were like, it's houses to stay. And I was like, tell me how. And it's great to watch them unravel because it's got solar. Okay, cool. How many panels? Oh, there's 3 on the roof.
What kilowatt system?
Yeah. And it's got insulation. Don't all houses that have been built recently have to have insulation? Yeah, and it's fun to pick them apart. Like it's mean, but the thing is, like that removes that because it removes you can't hide behind it anymore. And I think that we've really got to. And people are going to say that that's more red tape and paperwork, blah blah blah. But it's the right red tape and paperwork.
What they do in the ACT with it is the seller gets the 2 assessments done from an independent provider.
Yeah.
And the cost of the assessments is passed on to the buyer during the disbursement process. So as you buy the house, the seller is reimbursed.
That's a great idea.
So when I went to get a building inspection on the house that I wanted to buy, I didn't know who to contact to get the building inspection. And the agent that was selling me the house gave me 3 names. So I would have still ended up with somebody that maybe the agent recommended, or I could just go and look it up on the internet. But it's
Probably
hard
because
to
they're
find
cheap.
people,
It's probably because
right?
they're cheap and they don't do a great report. And
Well, I do think that people's professional reputations do hang on some of that stuff, though. So we need to be, careful that
they're not
know.
licensed, though. A lot of those people actually
Right, well,
aren't
they
licensed, and
gonna need
that's
to be.
and I know a lot of their reports don't hold up in VCAT. So
Right.
the reports have to be because at some point someone's going to pull that report and go, "You were legally liable."
Absolutely.
And what happens when that's in a court of law? And can they stand there and I don't know?
All right, I'm gonna wind it back to not solving this rental or house buying problem. Tell me some exciting news that's happening in Renew. Tell me some things that you guys are working on.
I'm not allowed to talk about rentals, though, right?
No, I know you can if it's exciting.
Well, I'm excited because we're doing this research on the rental stuff, which is exciting from an advocacy perspective. We're going to shortly re-release our guide for renters about how to make renters make their homes more sustainable. So we've got that on the boil.
Is that free, or do you charge
It will be
say
free.
$1 to just help get some costs and just you know what I mean?
That one will probably be free.
Yeah,
Sometimes we'll have things that we charge for, but these are kind of like downloadable kind of information booklets. I mean, we used to print them in the old days. I think if they were printed, they might not be free. So unless we get some funding for it. We've obviously got Sustainable House Day coming up. And we've also got a couple of webinars that we're about to kick off a whole kind of year-long webinar series of hoping to, pull some people out of the magazines and have chats with them.
Homeowners?
Yeah, homeowners, architects, designers, builders, just have, like maybe the feature story in the magazine and bring them in. People can, and have an in-conversation piece with them.
A little bit more context to the story. I really like that.
Just sort of unpack it from the page a little bit.
Because it is hard. I know my clients, we were on there and they'd love to open up, but with the young kids, it is hard on the weekend. And then the scary part of bringing people to the house, but if it was online, they'd happily go on and because she's also a mortgage broker and she can talk about those things. So
Sustainable House Day, a lot of our profiles for Sustainable House Day are online and people make videos and they put their house with all their information and the video and they walk people around the house and and it can work really well. And then we can do this where we can say, hey, come and talk to people and show people and talk them through. And I don't know if you've ever been to any of Anna's presentations of her, favourite 3 homes and things like that. She's done those in the past. And it's lovely because you get to talk to, see through them and see what's going on and unpack it a bit. So that'll be exciting. And then hopefully we're going to start running some really sort of hands-on workshop events so that people can ask those questions. So we'll get you guys in for that.
Do you do a conference or something? Because I feel like the Renew side of things is to me, it's one of the best resources for information. And we go to a few conferences, a lot of them to me are just crap. But I would think that one is
raise the bar.
No, but the thing is you've got such a great, because and I'm not talking about the passive house here, but it's passive house, but there's a wider network of different things. But if you could bring them all together as this ultimate
SBA and Renew.
But you've got someone talking about solar and then batteries, but then you've got someone talking about draft ceiling for rentals and that part. But then you've got, the new luxury, anyone that's for the rich people, because at the end of the day, if they can afford it, how do you approach all of it? You've got so many cool
you guys have got a pretty big net when you're talking about sustainability. You've got people who are homeowners.
I know you can't do it all as well, though.
We do.
Renting,
and you can't solve every problem. I understand
think it is about, I think one of the challenges is really thinking about how do we reach audiences where they are rather than trying to get people to come to us. So this is something I'm constantly thinking about is I don't want to fill a room full of people where 250 out of the 300 know who we are, what we do. They've heard it all before and they love us to bits and they love talking about this stuff. But we're not hitting any new people there.
Yeah, you're preaching to the converted.
The converted. And I think the challenge for an organisation like us is to think about how do we get those new people in, those new audiences in? What do they need to hear and see that helps them connect with the issues? Where do they need to see it? Is it TikTok? Is it Blue Sky? Is it Instagram? What content do they need to see? How do they then come to us even closer and get closer and closer to the conversation? And how do we bring them on that journey? Because frankly, you know, we live and breathe this stuff. You guys live and breathe it. And I work with people all day who live and breathe it. And my membership live and breathe it. But when I go out to, you know, Westfield or go shopping if I have to, or I'm out with my family in-laws, you know, they're not too far removed from the day-to-day that we live and breathe. People aren't thinking about this stuff. They're not talking about it.
This is the thing I think you should be doing is a podcast.
And
it's the fastest growing means of marketing in the world.
And that's one of the things we're looking to do. So that's exciting.
Exactly what you were talking about there was the reason why I was actually challenging using the word sustainable to the SBA group. Now, as I said, you're always going to have Sustainable House Day. You're always going to be Renew. You're always going to be Sanctuary. But then how do you break through in those markets that aren't interested in the word sustainable?
Right. We talk about the things that are really the touch points for people, and the touch points at the moment are the cost of housing to build, to live, to buy, the cost of running a house because of energy, and the fact that people want to live in homes that are comfortable and safe and feel like a home. And, you know, we spend a lot of time in our homes these days, for better or for worse, we do.
90% of our time is spent indoors.
Which is, you know, in many ways is a shame. And I think there's a broader conversation around not even just thinking about people's homes, but thinking about our neighbourhoods, our urban landscapes, you know, our transport, how we build homes around green spaces that connect people up with each other. You know, it's really, there's one of the things that I constantly have in my head is that when we build new developments, everybody gets a little backyard and we isolate people. Whereas, you know, I had a friend who lived in the UK in an old, very old block of 1930s terraces, all built around a corner, very, very similar kind of land space usage to what we have here. And then out the front of the terraces was a block of green space that had a little picket fence around it, and everybody could see it, and all the kids were out there playing in it. And it was shared community space, and it actually brings people together. And so sustainability, we can talk about sustainable buildings, but when we're talking about sustainable communities and people, we have to start looking outside our own buildings and into our neighbourhoods and into the urban infrastructure. And that's a massive conversation, which I'd love to have again I'd love to start putting Renew's mind to that as well.
I don't know if you know, do you follow Sarah from QE Architecture and Talena Edwards?
Sarah, yeah.
I don't know if you saw a post that she did 3 or 4 days ago about that development. I think it might have been in Hampstead.
The Castlemaine one?
Maybe it's a Castlemaine one. Yes.
The paddock.
Yeah, the paddock, yes.
Beautiful. Yeah.
That right there.
Nearly bought into there, actually.
I don't know. If you haven't seen it, go and Google the paddock. Like,
it's gorgeous.
That right there is like such a bright, shining example of what a development could, has to be moving forward.
And the houses are quite small.
It's not Sarah's project in her, you know, I don't want to say it's hers, but she reposted it. She went and visited it, and I'm just like, I'd live there.
Yeah.
Her silo project was my favourite project of last year, or in the most recent project. Sorry to be off topic.
Very off topic.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Thanks,
It's a lovely. It's got a shared community space in the middle. They've got the
Vegetable
gardens. They've
yep.
got the native gardens. They've got the chooks. You know. And the way that project came about in terms of the land and who owned the land and how that happened and how it was viable was a very, very unusual situation. And it's because there was people who lived there who owned that land who were deeply passionate about making that happen. And they weren't builders and they weren't developers. They were just people who had a vision. And it's a beautiful place, yeah.
Okay,
but the homes are actually quite modest. They're quite small. They're beautifully oriented, but they're not large homes, but they're connected.
Yeah, what I love about it is actually encourages people to step outside of the house.
Yeah, it does.
Like
it really does.
That's what it really encourages it to do.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, you know, my brother lives in a development that is kind of characterised as an eco-village, and it's very old and it's been around for 25 years.
Where's that?
It's in South Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful place. There's no fences, and all the houses have been put in, and and it's there's obviously issues around keeping it. How do I describe it? Keeping it true to its purpose.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think a lot of these places, they do.
Time could certainly unravel that.
Time can unravel it, but I think they've done a pretty good job. But one of the things is that it's a bit of a niche development. And if you look in the suburb next to where he lives, you can see the kind of development that was happening at the same time in parallel across the road. And it is so diametrically opposed to where where he lives. And so how do we make those kinds of things normal?
What would be interesting to understand there is you've got these two examples right next to each other, and what would the values of the homes be, one compared to the other?
Good question, actually. Don't know.
I mean, I'm imagining the suburb next door would be smaller blocks, more density, etc.
Yeah,
whereas these
pretty standard
arguably
suburban development. Yeah.
bigger blocks, less dense. I mean, these would
Well,
arguably
not necessarily bigger blocks, but
Okay.
definitely leafier, greener.
Okay. Yeah, and where would you rather live?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Leafier,
Concrete box,
greener. Oh, no, definitely concrete box, yeah.
I don't know if you can answer this question if you're allowed to or you want to, but on your website or with the Sustainable House Day, I noticed that like you have like 5 or 6 councils who have signed up to be part of it. Why hasn't every council signed up? Because I'm like frustrated my council aren't part of it and think they're all about sustainability, blah, blah, blah. It is like one of the easiest things for them to do, sign up.
Good idea. I agree with you. Why aren't they all signed up?
It honestly like shits me up.
Very much out my way, isn't it?
I think councils sign up when they can see homes that are listed in their council areas because they want to bounce off the opportunity of Sustainable House Day and use the homes that are in their areas to talk about it. So sometimes they wait and see where the houses have been listed, which is what we're just at that point now. So we're just about to talk to councils again next week. We had 10 councils signed up last year.
Out of how many? Do you know how many councils?
Oh, there's a few hundred.
Which is like really disappointing. I know my council, Maribyrnong City Council, are the worst.
Hang on, but you as an individual can open your house up.
No. But what I'm saying is, but they support, and as I always argue, council is one of the biggest roadblocks. They should be if they've got a house or not in there, they should be like, you know what? Even though we don't have a house, we're supporting it because we want our citizens and our council to be pushing for this.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we work with councils in a range of different ways. So councils often work with us in terms of providing education to communities. We run webinars with councils. You know, some councils have a really strong focus on sustainability and they have, you know, people employed in sustainability roles. Some councils are running on really tight budgets. You know, there's often a lot of really goodwill inside councils. I think, you know, and there's been some great work done in councils in terms of building up skills and sharing skills around getting off gas, electrification, and there's some really great council networks. So, you know, I think local government can be really powerful in making these changes happen, and they have a unique way of being able to engage with their local community. But they are still, you know, they're still a kind of a type of government, and so, you know, they have the restrictions of budgets and time and resources.
What is the cost for a council to go, we're going to support this?
I'm trying to remember if that's publicly advertised or not. I can't remember.
But like,
so I'm gonna...
I know, but like what I'm saying is like
it's not huge.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's
like,
not huge.
And the return on investments, like at the end of the day, that council stands for their ratepayers in that area. Like it would make total sense to be like, you know what, as a council, and I'll challenge anyone from council, they should be signing up that we want to provide the most and best information to people who might or want to live here or currently living here. And
that's one of our objectives. I mean, you know, we'll be trying to get more and more council engagement as we go forward. And part of the challenge for us is to demonstrate the benefits to councils about the benefits of being involved. And so, you know, that's something that I'd like to be doing.
You shouldn't need a demonstrator. They honestly should just jump on your website and just be like, yeah, we get it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a bit blunt with that. But like, I think...
I might put Matt in charge of my partnerships program.
Don't worry, I've already pissed my council off enough. I don't need to do it anymore. I joke that I have a red list that when any of my jobs come off, they just like, nah, we're going to send this to VCAT. We have actually got one more question for you. What are you most proud about that you have done in your time at Renew in your 2 years?
I actually had proud moments written there. Were you?
Yeah, because at the start you said that... what was my notes here? That you wanted to make a difference early on. So what is the biggest difference you've made?
You've made a fucking huge difference across the last 25 years. I'm just like looking at all the things that you made.
Little mini differences.
No, Helen, since your time as CEO.
All right, let's...
Look, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is the team that we've built. And I know that sounds a bit, you know, that can sound a bit trite, but the reality is that we're a really small community organisation and, you know, after COVID had a couple of rocky years. It's, you know, changes the model when you're a community-facing organisation that actually has to completely shift the way that you are engaging with the community. And so, like a lot of organisations, have to think about how do we reach people in different ways. And so after that, since I started, I think just building this team that is just very committed, very passionate, very professional. They know what they're doing. I love that because that gives me a buzz every day that I just see them, humming. And I think just getting it to that, because that means that the organisation is going to be humming. And I think that, Sustainable House Day last year was fabulous, and we had, a record number of houses. We had so many retrofits, So I think also bringing that element of okay, who do we need to be talking to? What do they need to hear from us? And knowing that it is about retrofits, it is about densification, it is about managing to get the best outcomes for the most amount of people that we can. That I love wrapping that philosophy around the organisation. And so there's I've got a lot to do. There's a lot for us to do. There's
but you have a
huge
plan.
space.
It's very, in the hour we've been chatting, like I feel like the direction's not a 1 2 year plan. It's very clear that you guys have you're looking long term. And it's
I think there, I think that we know that there's a bit of a journey ahead of us. We have an energy transition that's happening in Australia, and we have a community of people who are going to have to engage with that at some point, even if they're not engaged yet. And we know that we have information and advice and support and help to get people through that process. Not only do we have an energy transition, we have a climate imperative coming at us hard and fast all the time in terms of homes being climate resilient and safe. And so those two things are really just kind of almost banging into each other. And the next 2 decades, hopefully in 2 decades, we're going to say, yep, Australian housing stock looking good.
We're resilient.
So ideally,
looking good.
Renew doesn't exist. But that's like the
then we can start campaigning on that planning law stuff.
No,
right?
but in an ideal world, Sustainable Builders Alliance don't because that's
it's actually one of the things that came out of our plan the other day. Wouldn't it be amazing if everything was just mainstream and we didn't exist?
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that it'll be long past the time that I've retired that happens, because I think my whole career has been working in a space that I wish didn't exist.
Yeah.
I just wish we didn't have to have conversations with governments about getting off fossil fuels still, and not expanding gas fields and in the Northwest Shelf, and you know what I mean. Like, why are we still having these conversations? So it seems to take time, and I think that I'm just a very small part of a very big movement of people that has grown and grown over the last 2 decades, and is now expanding into all sorts of community groups representing all sorts of interests right across the Australian community, who this climate movement, this movement of people who want to see us both be, reduce our emissions, live sustainably, and take the most disadvantaged in our community with us and not leave them behind, and then overlaid on that is this housing conversation, which has become really pertinent in the last 10 years.
Where we
want everybody to have somewhere safe and comfortable and that they can afford to live in. And those two things are all coming to like a perfect storm, really. So maybe we'll get some amazing decisions and changes,
hopefully,
over the next decade.
We have a. So I'll just jump in. We have a segment called the MEGT Mindful Moment. So MEGT are Australia's biggest apprenticeship provider, and we are lucky enough to have them on as a sponsor to the podcast. How can we get young people excited about renewable technology, excited about sustainability, excited about electrification?
I mean, I would answer it by saying, firstly, I think there are a bunch of young people who are deeply interested in this already.
Yeah.
I think we wipe them off a little bit too quickly and say young people don't care about anything. That is garbage. Young people are amazing.
I actually agree with you, and I reckon that they're probably not the people we need to convince.
I actually agree with you. I think we've got a generation of children that are coming through, a generation of teenagers who are coming through who don't actually challenge the notion about sustainability and climate change because they've actually been brought up talking about it, thinking about it, and they're not polarised by it politically. It's just part of what they understand about the world.
Yeah.
So I actually think that probably it's young people, and we know that it's young people wanting to buy houses that are putting pressure on governments around densification and housing policy, and they might be, to me they're young, so to you they might not be, but to me they're younger. But 25 to 35-year-olds who are getting together saying, why are you not changing planning law so that we can actually densify parts of our city so that we can actually have access to the kinds of things that you had access to?
That'd be common sense, though.
Right.
So you know what? Sorry, I just had this epiphany. Maybe the mindful moment right now is the fact that as like I'm in my 40s, maybe we need to actually stop thinking that we know the answers and then actually look down a generation and say, hang on, what do you think we should do?
Absolutely.
This is why I think 16-year-olds should be able to vote.
Well, you should probably get some young people in here on your podcast and ask them what they think.
I'm 36.
Well, Matt's young.
I meant talking like 25.
You know what? That's actually a really good idea.
Get him out after a Thursday night, straight in.
No, actually, you know what? Maybe I've learned something from today's
I'll try and
mindful
find
moment.
some for you next week.
Yeah,
I'm going
great.
to a conference. I'm going to run into lots of young people.
Yep.
And young people with really, really strong views about what equity looks like for them.
Yep.
And, I think that I used to think of myself as a young person a minute ago. It kind of catches up with you and then suddenly you realise.
I actually had exactly the same thought the other day.
Like the reality is both Hamish and I own homes. Like, it's not a problem for us anymore.
Right.
Like, and that maybe we're out of touch.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what I was just saying before. Maybe that's the epiphany I've just had.
I remember when I first bought my very first flat, and I was 31. I thought I was really old. It cost $110,000 to buy a one-bedroom flat, and I thought it was a lot at the time because that was the biggest thing I'd ever bought in my whole life. But how lucky was I? And 31 doesn't seem so old anymore to be buying your first property.
Don't you love it when you do a demo and you find the old newspapers and you see the old house prices and you're like, oh, with what I just bought, I could buy the whole street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
Like-
it's all about the ratio between income and house prices.
Yeah.
But
totally.
there's no doubt that ratio has shifted in a dramatic way.
Yeah.
And so I think that, I think the experience. I mean, you could get some young people in, and there's 80 to 90% chance that they're renting, and so they have that renter's perspective as well.
Yeah, interesting. Actually, that's a good point. Let's get
So to finish off, Sustainable House Day is coming up. How do people get involved? How do people sign up to Renew and Sanctuary? How do you become a member? How do you follow you guys? Go for it.
So sustainablehouseday.com is the best place to go. You can register there right now to find out when tickets go on sale. We've closed the applications for homes for this year. So Sustainable House Day tickets will be on sale from March the 31st. Go to sustainablehouseday.com. Grab your tickets. It's $15 per person for the day. So that means you just buy a pass and then you can go and visit as many houses as you'd like to.
I love that you put a price on it.
Yeah, it's like well, we want people to turn up. And we know some of our houses get booked out and we don't want other people to miss out because the tickets are free. They get a free ticket. They don't turn up. And then we've got like 10 people on a waiting list and they can't get in.
Our most successful events at SBA have been the ones that we've charged for.
Yeah, right. And it doesn't have to be a huge amount, just enough to get people committed.
People think as well when there's a number associated, they just think they're getting more information. There's a whole psychology
of it.
Yeah, the transactional psychology, absolutely.
We wanted to make it a bit easier this year for people to go to multiple houses and not have to buy tickets for individual houses. So that's how that kind of the idea of the pass came up. So we're hoping that's going to really work this year. And then renew.org.au is our website. You can go there and find out how to subscribe to the magazines. We do print magazines as well, which,
it's like old school.
It's old school, but hey, who doesn't love an opportunity?
I love when my magazine rocks up on the door and I'm like,
you grab it.
Yeah.
Is that your Women's Day?
Copy.
Well, that woman's day, yeah.
You grab a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
you go sit out on your deck, you just step away from the screen for a minute and take some time out and look after yourself and read, and it's lovely. So, I say that's probably when I say which is my favourite magazine, it's like I love both of them because they both do that,
Yeah.
You can go and you
Did we
can
get a definitive answer out of that?
print subscription. What was the question?
which was your favourite?
No, you didn't. No. I love whichever one turns up.
Trying to catch you out there.
We'll edit it in a way that makes you have a favourite.
dare.
We'll just grab the Renew and insert it.
In which case, I will set my editors onto you.
What we do, we wish it was one of those podcasts where each one was different, where like they would just add in either Renew or Sanctuary. So whoever listened to it would be different. Yeah.
They both look gorgeous. Renew's about to have a bit of zhuzh, a bit of love, so it's going to look even more gorgeous in not this edition, but the one that's
Like a bit of a
the next one
rebrand.
out. A brand uplift, we call it. Yeah. And so, yeah, because we know there's a lot of people who love Renew. They love all the content. But there's a bunch of people who read certain parts of Renew, but not all of it.
It's a bit, yeah, that's me. It's a bit nerdy at times.
So we're going to pull some of that content out for you so that you can understand it better. No, I'm just joking. So that's a good place to go. Go to the website. You can subscribe there, or you can just get a digital subscription if you don't want to have a print subscription as well. So we have digital magazines on the website.
And it is printed on FSC accredited paper.
It's totally printed on good stuff. All the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
But thank you. I think, too often we don't stop and appreciate these things. Like, you guys been doing this way before I was born. So I really encourage anyone that's listening to sign up. To get more information, we need people. Like, you need money. You need funding. The biggest barrier is money. So I know money's tight. If you own a business, it's an expense. Like, come on. So please sign up to Renew Sustainable House Day.
You know what? Don't just sign up to it out of, just because you think they're a charity. Sign up to it because there's some good fucking information.
No, I know. But like there's really no excuse.
We have organisational memberships as well. So we have individual memberships and organisational memberships. Yeah. And I would say also for your audience is if people sign up, then you can participate in some of the things that we do. And particularly when you sign up, we need to set it up so people can tell us what their skills are, what their backgrounds are, because you might be somebody who's actually a bit of an expert in your field, and then you can come and talk to our audience, which is what we're going to get you guys to do. Yeah. So,
and you know what? And purely from a selfish point of view, if you are a builder out there and want to participate in a sustainable home day, and that is absolutely hands down the best bit of marketing you can do. Bringing someone through a house that you've built.
Yeah, it is
no-brainer.
That's why I love to do it. Like, I just can't get any access because it's the best marketing.
No brainer.
I don't want to tell many people that, but it's like selfish.
So next year, so that I would say for anybody who's missed out this year, start thinking about next year now and just clock it in your calendar and the timing, because it creeps up on you really quickly after Christmas.
Is it scheduled times? Like, it might be a presentation at 10, 11 and 12 or?
Yeah, so there's I think there's 4 or 5 scheduled tour times at this year as well, and we get the homeowners or the people who are taking carriage of the home to choose how many people they want to have come through and what times they're coming through and when the tours are. And look, it's a lot of fun, because actually talking to the community and seeing things light up behind their eyes about, oh, right, I get it. It's so exciting to see that happen and to share that knowledge. And we know that is the change that actually makes things happen. When, that's how change happens. Yeah. There's this really well-proven effect. You've probably read about it, where the neighbourhoods where people put solar panels on, more solar panels go on, right? Because people see it, then they start a conversation, they talk about it, they go, well, if they're doing it and they're saving money on their bill, it must work. And then it kind of reverberates through neighbourhoods and through communities like that.
Let's see how that goes with EVs right now with the whole war in Iran. Let's see if that, because it's going to be a very topical conversation coming up on fuel. Yep. Let's start seeing if...
And people see an EV and they see it in your driveway and they stop and they have a chat and they share. And, there's nothing like getting caught in a conversation between 2 EV owners.
I tell you what, the amount of people, because I got a shark, the amount of trades that have come up to me afterwards and said, oh, what do you think of it? I'm like, for someone who doesn't tow, game changer. Yeah. Absolute game changer.
There's some big EV things coming out.
Yeah.
But they're only got 200 kilometres. Like, they're not.
Right.
Like, I've got a Model Y, and when my wife doesn't take it, like, it's just so much easier. Like, I don't have to fill the car up. You just plug it in and off you go.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited about what SBA and Renew can do over the coming years. It's a pretty exciting little space. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
So much fun to talk to you guys.
Thank you
for having me.
You.